Okay, so it says we are live. Let me make sure Instagram is
We
working.
are live.
It's working?
Looks
Perfect.
like it.
Okay, and let me make sure Instagram's set up. Okay. Hello, everybody. All right, I think we're all good to go. Okay, so hi, everybody. I'm Ava to introduce myself, and I'm here with Gigi Fernandez. So, just a little introduction before I'll have Gigi introduce herself. So, Gigi Fernandez, right here, is a Puerto Rican American tennis legend known for her 17 Grand Slam women's doubles titles and 2 Olympic gold medals. Amazing. She's born in San Juan and she is Puerto Rico's first professional woman athlete and has since become the first person from Puerto Rico inducted into the International Tennis Hall of Fame. Also amazing. After retiring, she continued to be active in tennis as a coach, an entrepreneur, and she is also the founder of Tennis for Hope after her house flooded during Hurricane Helene or Helen?
Helene, yeah.
Helene. Ugh. To help people in the tennis community affected by natural disasters. So, pretty amazing individual we have here. So, thank you again for joining us today.
Thank you
So,
for having me.
so I'm going to ask a few questions and then open it up for the audience to ask questions later. So, first off, could you introduce yourself? Anything I missed?
Well, you pretty much covered it, but I'm also a mom of twins, Carson and Madison. I live in Tampa, Florida. I've been living here since about 2000 with a small hiatus into Connecticut for 5 years. I have an experiential tennis travel company. So after retiring from tennis, now I bring people to the Grand Slams and to fun events like the Italian Open and the French Open and Labor Cup. I also teach adults how to play doubles at VIP camps at BMP Parbat tournament in Indian Wells, and then generally just try to give back. I'm a vice chairman of the board of the Hall of Fame, which I'm a member of the Hall of Fame, but I'm also a vice chairman of the board. So I spend a lot of time giving back to that, that community, and spend a lot of time right now with my foundation that I just started, Tennis for Hope, trying to help people in the tennis community affected by natural disasters.
I love that. Thank you for adding what I missed. So to start, first off, pretty easy. Well, maybe it's not an easy question, but how did you fall in love with tennis? What's the origin story? How did you pick it up?
Yeah. So when I was little, I have two older brothers, and they used to go. We used to all go to the club, and they would take lessons because they were older. But I
Mm.
was too young to take lessons, so I started hitting against the wall. And then I kept begging for lessons. When I would turn 4, I begged for lessons. When I turned 5 and 6, and finally when I turned 7, I got my first lessons. And I was born with a God-given talent. I had really exceptional hand-eye coordination, and I was lucky to discover that early in my life, and had parents who could support it. So my mom would travel with me and my sister to tournaments here in the United States, to play junior tournaments here where the competition was a little bit better. And I was discovered by a college coach and offered a scholarship. Went to Clemson University, and my first year as a freshman, I made the finals of the NCAA's and had match
Freshman year?
points.
That's
I know,
amazing.
and the girl that I lost to was 27th in the world. So then I decided I would take the fall off and then maybe go back to school the following year. But after the fall, I was ranked 85 in the world in singles and top 50 in doubles. So I decided to turn pro and figure out how to get my degree when I finished my tennis career.
So wait, you were ranked, you said 85th or 87th in the world?
Yeah, that was like
Freshman,
85, around 85 after the
your
fall
freshman
season.
year? That fall.
Not my freshman year, because it was on the
Okay.
pro tour. So
Oh,
my freshman year at Clemson, I made the finals in NCAA. I think I was ranked 5. I ended up ranked 5 in the NCAA's, but then I took the fall off and went and played on the pro tour. So I
oh,
played tournaments.
okay.
So back then the Australian Open was in November. So I played tournaments all through the fall and ended up in November having a really good Australian Open, and that's how I got my ranking to top 85 in the world in singles.
That's amazing. That's so
So
fun you get to travel to all those cool places too.
yeah,
That's
that's been the funnest part,
yeah.
probably one of the funnest parts of my job, is getting to see the world. And I mean, we travel. I mean, it's such a great job, really. Like, you travel around the world and play the thing you love and get paid to do it. And
Sounds pretty good.
yeah, I know.
Living the dream.
I know. I mean, I was listening to this podcast with Julie Foudy and Abby Wambach,
Oh
and they
yeah.
were talking about whether sports are hard or not. And I was like, why would anybody think that sports are hard? It's like, my goodness. I think once you get removed from it, and I mean, sure, it's physically hard, but what isn't? Everything that it means anything is hard.
This is true.
But I felt so blessed and so privileged, really, that I could travel the world on someone else's dime and make money every week and stay in the best hotels and have, private cars driving you everywhere and
So
get the tables at the best restaurants. And
yeah,
I
maybe
mean,
I should
who
drop
doesn't
this
like that,
time to
right?
go to sports.
Not hard at all.
Okay, next question. So this week marked the end of Hispanic Heritage Month, and last week was National Coming Out Day. So what do like days like these, months like these, these commemorations mean to you, and why is it kind of important to highlight this diversity and representation in sports?
Well, it's really important because, I mean, the fact that we can even talk about it now. When I was
Yeah,
growing up, this is something you didn't talk about. And, obviously I'm from Puerto Rico, so that makes me Hispanic and very proud of it. However, I didn't have any role models growing up. There was
right.
not another Puerto Rican or even Latin female tennis player that I could
Mhm.
grow up to say I want to be like her. So the fact that people like me and other prominent Hispanics get mentioned during this month and get celebrated for our accomplishments, it's really special because you can't forget the past. You can't forget where you came from. And I
Of
think sometimes people tend to forget what came before them. And I think it's disrespectful to not sort of give credit where credit's due. I mean, just because we're older doesn't mean we weren't accomplished, right? And people
Yeah,
tend to forget. And
yeah,
then as far as National Coming Out Day, was never really out. When I was playing, I was out to my friends and my close friends, my relatives, of course. But back, this is in the 90s, like still was not
yeah,
cool to be
yeah,
gay. And there was a lot of stigma around it, and a lot of fear of losing contracts if
oh yeah,
people knew that you were gay.
yeah,
So it's definitely a different world. I think nowadays there's not a lot of stigma around it anymore. I mean, sure, in some places there is, but by and large, we're so much more accepting of people how they are. And so yeah, so I think it's really important to remember these days because we have to remember where we came from.
yeah. I love that. Never forget your roots. It's that
Exactly.
around
Yeah.
for a reason. And I'm sure you like growing up doing tennis, like it was a whole different world. And I'm sure it's nice to see that it's changed for the better.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yes. And now there's a lot. I mean, girls in Puerto Rico could grow up to want to be like myself or like Monica Puig, who won also
Yeah,
an Olympic medal for Puerto Rico.
yeah.
Um, and there's definitely a lot of examples of successful female athletes in many sports. Whereas back in the 60s, when I was born in the 60s and when I was sort of growing up in the 70s, trying to decide what I was going to do in my life, like, I mean, the expectation was that I would get married and have kids. I never really considered a career as a professional athlete because
Mm.
it's just unheard of. There was not another person. There was
Yeah.
not another girl in Puerto Rico that had ever made a living out of
Well,
sport.
that's going into my next question,
So
actually.
yeah,
So great segue.
yeah,
So you were Puerto Rico's first woman to be a pro athlete. So what like challenges, I know you kind of mentioned this, growing up,
yeah,
not really having somebody to look up to, but what
yeah.
other challenges maybe that we don't know or can't
Yeah,
see?
there were many. I mean, starting with the fact that some of the best coaches in Puerto Rico would not coach me because I was a girl,
Oh,
and some of the ones that didn't think that girls could hit topspin. So it's kind of technical when you start talking about tennis, but the game changed
that's good.
around the 80s. The game started to change
Yeah,
when Beyond Board was the first person to hit topspin on the ball.
okay.
The two-handed backhand came into being, and they would not teach me these shots because they thought girls weren't strong enough.
Really?
There was also a really prominent coach in Puerto Rico that didn't teach, refused to teach me because he said I had a bad temper and that I would never make it. And that's all I needed to hear. One person telling me that I wasn't going to make it because I was going to prove him wrong.
You're like, all
Because
right.
look, I have this on my side. Look, see this? Can you
Oh
read
my
it?
gosh, I love that. They
They
told me
told
I
me
couldn't, that's why I did.
that's what I did.
Wow.
So that his name was Welby Van Horn. So he's
Shout out.
up in heaven now. But I appreciate the fact that he didn't believe in me because I just gave me all the motivation I needed.
Yeah, I love that. I'm
Yeah.
glad you proved him wrong, clearly.
Yes, me too.
So So you're also a tennis coach
Hmm.
thing. What do you love most about coaching?
So my tennis coaching has been a journey. Yeah, I started first of all when I retired from tennis. I took some time off because most tennis players, when they retired, they get a little burnt out, and
Mm,
I kind of didn't want to have much to do with tennis. But then I went back and started coaching. The first thing I coached was a Puerto Rican Fed Cup team, and that was fun. And I coached at the Pan Am Games, and our team won 2 silver medals, and that was very satisfying. I also coached 2 girls who won the U.S. Open. So I coached Grand
that's
Slam
so
champions Lisa Raymond and Sam Stosur. That was very fun.
yeah.
And then I had kids, and once you have kids, life changes because the kids become
Mhm.
your priority, and your whole life revolves around them, and my schedule revolved around them. So I became director of tennis at a facility when I was living in Connecticut,
Mhm.
and it just made sense for me to teach adults because that's when the kids were in school. So I would drop the kids off at school, go to the club and teach adults while their kids were in school, and then when it's time to pick them up from school, then I could go home and be with them. So I sort of gravitated towards teaching adults. And then what I discovered was that there was a real niche in teaching adults how to play doubles, and not very many people really understanding the game and how it should be played. And there's certain geometry in doubles that is non-negotiable and unchangeable. The court is a rectangle, and the angles of the court or the shots don't change regardless of your level. And people really don't understand that. So I spent a lot of time traveling around the country, going to coaches conventions and teaching teachers how to teach. And I don't know if I've made progress, but I keep trying to get people to understand the basic fundamentals of good doubles. and
Yeah.
and what I find gratifying, I just love seeing people improve. When you're a coach or a teacher and you are trying to pass some knowledge onto your students and they don't get it at first, and you persevere and find other ways to say the same thing 10 different ways, and then finally when they have that aha moment, I got it. That's
Yeah.
what's rewarding about being a teacher. So yeah, I love it.
I love it too. Once again, with the giving back to the community, best part. Okay, so two more questions left. So if anybody watching has questions they also want to ask, drop them into the chat now, please. So also, what kind of like inspired you to start like the Gigi Fernandez Charitable Foundation?
Yeah, so when I was playing back in the 90s, I had a charitable foundation
Mm,
that was called Gigi Fernandez Charitable Foundation. And at the time, we raised money and helped people in Puerto Rico. And funny enough, it was people affected by usually natural disasters. Like after
yeah,
hurricanes, I would do fundraisers and whatnot.
yeah.
So what I'm doing now, I have a foundation called Tennis for Hope. And I
Mhm,
started that foundation after my house flooded during Hurricane Helene, like you mentioned in the intro.
right.
And that was devastating. I mean, like I live in a 1-story Florida ranch, so everything that touched the house and everything that touched the floor in a 1-story house was lost, including both cars. But
Really the
what came out of that is like, the worst disaster, worst tragedy of my life gave rise to this foundation that has been unbelievable. It's a member-based organization. We have over 50 members that have pledged about $600,000, and we've
wow.
given money to a Palisades Tennis Center in LA, Altadena Tennis Center,
Mhm,
some schools in Altadena also that got burnt down that had tennis courts. Asheville, which was flooded also during Hurricane Helene in North Carolina. We just helped the club there. And then I just spent last week 3 days in Central Texas where the Guadalupe River flooded in July, where that horrible tragedy took the lives of 127 people, including 27 little girls at Camp Mystic. It was just so tragic. And I was able to tour those facilities and try to bring hope to those people. I mean, I know what it's like to rebuild. When I was rebuilding my house, it was pretty exhausting. Like every morning you woke up and you had like a long list of things to do, and
yeah,
you just couldn't get through the list. I mean, it took months to get through everything. And so what I promised to the camp directors that I met is that we would help them rebuild their courts. So I've contracted two court builder or court builder that's
mhm,
gone over and reviewed the place, and are waiting for our quote so we can start that process of rebuilding the course so they can focus on other things that need to be rebuilt, like
yeah.
dining halls and cabins, and compliance with the new flood zones and all the new regulations that those camps are now have to adhere to. So just a little bit of relief for them
I love
from
that.
all the things they have to do
Yeah,
hopefully helps out. So And then we have two facilities here in Tampa near me that from a year ago haven't started rebuilding, and we just learned yesterday. So we're planning a statewide fundraiser in February for all these facilities that are still suffering. So yeah, so I'm super busy with the foundation, and it's some of the most gratifying work I've done. And
I'm sure.
and I say that one of the best things that ever happened was my house flooding. That sounds like an oxymoron, but it was truly life changing. So, I think the lesson there is like there's always something good that comes out of a bad situation.
Always. I agree.
So you have to like try to find the positive in it.
That happening led you to help so many other people and have the like flame inside to do that. So
yeah,
even though it sounds terrible, everything happens for a reason, right?
exactly. Yeah.
Now you get to give back. I love that. That's amazing that you're helping everybody. Okay, so last one from me, and then I'll check if anyone else asked them. But so what is your hope for the future of tennis, especially for the younger generation, maybe stuff you didn't grow up with, like having that you hope to see?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, and tennis is in a very healthy place right now. It's a global sport. We've had equal prize money for women since my era, since the 90s. We've had equal prize money. So, whereas other sports are still fighting for that or just recently received equal, soccer, women's basketball is nowhere near where they need to be for equal prize money. Golf, nowhere near they need to be. Not really. Tennis is the only sport where the women receive equal prize money. So it's in a healthy place. I mean, if there's one thing I could change about tennis is the calendar. It's too long. It's all year round. The players don't have any breaks. And it's not sustainable over time. Like people get injured, and so I think shorten the calendar a little bit so the players can have a little more of a break.
Yeah. Okay, and then we have one question from one of the viewers. So what is some piece of advice you would give to your younger self?
To myself?
Your younger self. Like if you
could younger self. Your younger
self and been like,
Can I say a bad word? Chill the F out. I was so like, I don't know. I mean, I think it's part of living in the bubble of the tennis world. You live in this fantasy world. It's really not real. I mean, it's the only way I can describe it. But you put so much pressure on yourself.
Yeah.
For no reason, really, because when now that I step back and I see it, it's like, why was I feeling pressure? Like I'm playing a game, I'm hitting the ball back and forth, with another person that's making a lot of money too, having a great life, and why was I so stressed out? I don't know. It's self-imposed. So I think if I could just chill out, and it's interesting because I feel like players nowadays handle the pressure a little bit better, and I think part of it is because there's so much money. There's two things that have changed tennis to me. Like there's so much money that in our generation, there was money, but it wasn't the kind of money that is now. So people are still fighting for, like making that big check. Money. What's that?
It's like win to get money. You're kind of saying not like the sponsorships and that sort of thing.
Yeah, just the price money. Like there's so much money. Like they make so much money that if you lose, in the semis instead of the finals this time, well, you already made $900,000 for losing in the semis, right? Like in my generation, it was probably like, I don't know, $100,000 for the semis, maybe 200 for the finals and maybe 500 to win. Now it's like 5 million to win, 2.5, so that changes your mentality. It's like, okay, well, I didn't win, but I still made $1 million, right? So, I think that changes things. And I think also social media, I think really has changed also how people are with each other in tennis, because, in my generation, if I upset my opponent, which I did constantly because I was very passionate and intimidating on the court, there was really no way to make up, it's very hard to confront somebody face to face, it just leads to a fight. But it's so easy to apologize on social media. It's so easy to say, like to use an example that happened recently in tennis after Coco Gauff beat Sabalenka in the finals of the French Open. And Sabalenka came out in the press, like on the speech on the court, saying how bad she played, how embarrassing it was, and she couldn't believe how bad she played. And you saw that, and it was so bad. I couldn't believe she'd done that right there and there. I mean, if I was Coco, I would have been like, probably would have never talked to her again, But then the two of them can make up on social media. Like she can apologize on social media, so the whole world sees it. And then the next day they're doing some little shoot together, some little TikTok together. And now life is good, right?
Yeah.
One made $4 million, the other one made $2 million, but she didn't make the extra two, but she already has 40 in the bank. So
Mhm.
I don't know. I just feel like that sort of changes the pressure a little bit.
That is true. I've never thought about that. Like the pressure of like whatever's broadcasted, right, is what you see.
Yeah,
Now you
yeah,
have your Instagram, you have your following. That's great.
yeah.
So I mean, that's all the questions I have. Is there anything else you wanted to let everyone know or mention? Anything about your foundations? Kind of shameless
Yeah,
plug.
I mean, like tennisforhope.org, if anybody's into tennis and philanthropy and they want to participate, we have a lot of cool member events. We have our first member event during Indian Wells. The Bryan brothers are participating, and everybody we're going to have a fun day playing tennis. Our band's going to play, so it's going to be a fun
Oh,
celebration of everything the foundation's done over the last year. And yeah, tennisforhope.org is where we're at, and if
totally.
anybody wants to join, just shoot me a DM or send me an email through the foundation page, and we'd love to include you.
Well, definitely after I wrap this up, I'll make sure to make a post about it so I can
All right.
let the world know, let our followers know.
Thank you.
But thank you so much for joining us today. I really loved hearing like your point of view. Like obviously I see what's online about you, but getting to talk to you and hearing your love for like giving back, like that's what I hope to do one day, give back to the community that, gave so much to me.
That's
So I love
great.
how you're doing that and being that role model for all those women in Puerto Rico. Like I know my Puerto Rican best friends are gonna like hear that I was with you and be like,
That's cool.
"Hey," like 'cause they know when there's a professional athlete that goes out because they feel like a sense of pride. Like it's
Yes,
wild.
absolutely. We're
So I
very
love
proud Puerto
yes,
Ricans.
yes, I love that so much. But yeah, so just flame bearers, we just love to highlight like the amazing women in sport like you. So thank you for being a part of our community.
Thank
And
you.
everybody watching, thank you for being a part of our community. And that's all I have today. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm gonna end
Bye.
it. Bye everybody.